Very good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Lasham Daily Briefing for Friday, the 11th of July, 2025. We won't hang around, we'll get right into it. Looking at the synoptic for yesterday, and we can see that high pressure there, just off sort of Anglesey way, that gave us a really quite hot blue day. Although we did get a lot more cumulus than was potentially expected. It did take a little while to get going, but once it did, it was a very nice day indeed. Lots of good flights, and hopefully some more today. Overnight, that high is a little bit further away as this low pressure starts to work its way in from time towards the Bay of, which is south of the Bay of Biscay, and into midday today. It actually moves over mainland Spain, so we are still seeing the majority of our weather associated with this high. Slightly lower pressures today, probably about 3 or 4 hectopascals lower, but still holding off all of this North Atlantic sort of low pressure activity out to the west. Uh, Midnight tonight, much the same still, and into tomorrow, reducing pressure, but still high pressure without that low becoming dominant. Into Sunday as well, starting to get a little bit more influence from that low there centered with a couple of fronts and troughs coming off, and potentially this cold front coming through on Monday, but we will see how that impacts us. The sat pics, then you can see it's absolutely clear over most of the UK. We're not expecting any cloud really today at all. And thus, there's no precipitation of concern on the radar. And we'll very quickly run through the prediction. And you can see there's nothing that's going to be a problem for us. Odium's TAF, they're giving us 180 knots, cab okay for today. And Farnborough, something similar, although slightly more easterly, at 140 at 4 knots with cab okay also. Winds at height then, looking at the 214 from Met Office to the south. We've got a bit of variation actually. 1,000 feet, 110 at 10, 2,000 feet, a bit more easterly with 070 at 10. To the north of us, though, it's variable at 5. So we're expecting closer to variable at 5. If nothing else, maybe a slight southerly component. Looking at windy, we can see that there's a gentle south to southeasterly flow across the airfield at the moment. We're expecting that to continue, become slightly more southerly. However, it's a slightly lighter wind than we had yesterday, and we have quite it is quite hot, of course, 1 or 2 degrees warmer than yesterday. So we're actually going to go on runway 27 today. Certainly for the initial part of today, and we'll see how that progresses. And we can see here, General Met Office forecast, it remains southeasterly throughout, becoming straight southerly later on into the mid-afternoon. But 4 knots, gusting 10 until later on, about 3 o'clock. Reasonable visibility with low humidity, and we've got quite high UV. We go from it's between 7 and 6, between 11 and 3 o'clock, and that's peaking for 2 hours in the middle of the day at 8. So, soaring hats, please, lots of sun cream, and do stay hydrated if you're out on the airfield all day. GFS for temperature, they're showing 30 to 31 degrees locally for us with very light winds, and a G point of around 11 or 12 degrees. The Lasham webcam, you can see that windsock is showing the light and variable nature of it, a little bit of a westerly on present, and it is completely blue. Of course, nothing of interest there. We're already up to 26.2 degrees, very steep climb in temperature from an overnight low of about 17. And the dew point is around 16 at the moment. It's a little bit higher than the GFS prediction. We'll see how that continues throughout. SkySat then for the point forecast, beginning on the left-hand side of the screen where there's an excerpt from the potential flight distance. We'll just zoom that out. You can see quite reasonable to the west and the north with a few sort of isolated poor patches. about 5 knots in strength, and the best part of the day should be thermic from fairly early this morning, and climbs up to seven and almost 8,000 feet in places. Blue until maybe 3:30, 4 o'clock, and there might start to be a couple of light Q appearing. Uh, Temperature on the surface up to 32 predicted there with the dew point of 10. So a little bit of variation between the forecasters on what that actual split's going to be. With again light southerly, southeasterly winds and northeasterly at height about 10 knots, according to SkySat for the thermal tops. Top meteor now for the thermals of the day. Starting at that's 9 o'clock local. They're suggesting we could have climbs up to 700 meters already. We run that through. You can see continually improving up to 1100 meters by 11 o'clock local. And it continues to improve throughout up to 17 and 1800 out not far west of us. And we're in excess of 2,000 meters, according to this chart. What you can see is it is blue for the entire day, but at about 4 o'clock, you start to get this little patch of Q working its way in from the West Country and a small one over the city as well. And that could actually reach us as the day progresses into the evening, about 5, 6 o'clock local this evening, not lasting very long and dissipating fairly soon after that. Looking at the nose times for today, much like yesterday, not a great deal of things to talk about. Quite a lot of paragliding activity once again at 31. We've got West Ilsley in there, winch launching up to 1,900 feet. And most of the other local locations to us between sort of here and Limpsfield are paragliding from sunrise to sunset, generally up to about 3,000 feet. And down number 13 at Goodwood, you've got an RAT for Red Arrows display at surface to 5,500 feet. And today, that's valid between 11:55 and 12:30 Zulu. Okay, so that's UTC, which would be 12:55 to 13:30 local. As always, do have a look yourself. It's your responsibility, so keep an eye out and do take care. We'll move on now, pardon, to the local airfield briefing. Just having a look there at the Odium cross-section to begin. Very little to talk about there. We've got blue all day. Apologies. So we've got blue throughout all of today. By 12 o'clock local, we're getting potentially a couple of Qs starting to pop around 5,000, 5,500 feet and carrying on throughout. Southerly and southeasterly winds potentially becoming more easterly, which is contrary to what the Met Office local forecast suggested. But we'll monitor that throughout today, and a surface temperature up to 30 degrees later on. A lot of bookings. We've got two K21s on the 5-day course. We have a K21 for booked instruction, and there's also a K21 on the casual list today. K13 allocated for trial lessons is required, and there is plenty of single-seater availability on both the Discus and the Grog fleets. At the moment, there's one on the casual list. If we get an instructor, that'd be very much appreciated. And the simulator is available as normal. Once again, a reminder about the buoyant expedition dates. So we've got 3 weeks running from the 5th of October, finishing on the 25th. Do get in touch with Ron, Barry, and myself if you have any questions. And if you're looking to book one of the few remaining places, do get in touch with the office. There's nothing to report today from 2XL. And in summary, we've got high pressure dominating again, leading to hot and blue conditions with light south-southeasterly winds. We're going to operate runway 27 today with cables to the south, and we'll be gridding 27 north Cyprus. Please make sure you're ready when the cable or tug arrives, and do not land or taxi across the disused runways shown in red. And there's our airfield setup. Slight southeasterly component to the wind. We've got the winch positioned in the usual place just to the south of the main runway. Air towing off the hard. Any heavies or anybody concerned about takeoff performance, please do come to the runway and you'll be treated as part of the grid. And that is all from me this morning. So we'll see you out there shortly. Have a good day. Keep it safe. Thank you very much.